Hey everyone, it's Aaron. Pop quiz. Which turkey had a worse Thanksgiving? Was it this turkey or was it this turkey? Well, I would argue it's this turkey. The country of Turkey, unfortunately, had their currency called the lira crash 20% in a single day. This was last Tuesday. And so when that happens, that really is an unfortunate circumstance for not only the country, but the citizens and the businesses and anybody who has any sort of economic tie to the country, because that means the money that you had sitting in a bank account is now worth 20% less in a single day. And then that also means that prices have to rise to naturally offset the devaluation of that currency. So what's happening in Turkey is what I think is unfortunately a foreshadowing of what's to come for multiple other countries around the world and potentially even the US. Now, this is something that has happened before in Turkey. They have had an economy that isn't really super stable, and their president is someone who views economics as something that he can dictate rather than the actual laws of economics. But as we'll see in today's video, I'm going to go into a bit more about what caused the crash of the Turkish lira, but also the results of it, because a lot of people are now hoarding other currencies, and I think a lot of people are trying to find stores of value in anything that isn't actually money. And this is an important theme coming to the forefront, I think, because even here in America, our dollar has been printed into oblivion, and the value of it has depreciated. Now, we are a strong country, fortunately, still, but we are being compromised every single day, the more that we print, and the more that we keep interest rates low. And unfortunately, countries that are less stable than us are already seeing their economies slip when they try to do the same types of policies. So, in this video, I'm going to dive into those things. So go ahead and smash that like button. And when you do, it allows YouTube to show this video to more people. People who want to understand what's happening around the world, how it's going to affect the economy, and how it's going to impact us here at home. And also specifically, when you hit that like button, it shows this video to people who want to know what to do if they're in a country or in a situation where the currency is starting to devalue super fast. And now you have to find a store of value outside of that currency to keep your money, to keep your wealth, to keep your savings at least on the same level as it was before. So go ahead, hit that like button, and let's get started. All right, let's take a look at the CNBC article that details everything. Turkish lira crashes to insane historic low after President Erdogan sparks sell-off. There he is, looking very uneconomic. Turkish lira crashed to a record low of 13.44 to the dollar on Tuesday, a level once unfathomable and well past what was just last week deemed the psychological barrier of 11 to the dollar. Insane where the lira is, but it's a reflection of the insane monetary policy settings Turkey is currently operating under, Tim Ash, senior emerging market strategist at Blue Bay Asset Management, said in a note. The lira was trading at 12.72.72 to the greenback at 4 p.m. local time on Tuesday last week, and was down around 15% on the day at one point, according to Reuters. The sell-off was triggered after Turkish President Erdogan defended the central bank's continued contentious interest rate cuts amid rising double-digit inflation. He labeled the move as part of an economic war of independence, rejecting calls from investors and analysts to change course. Inflation in Turkey is now near 20%, meaning basic goods for Turks, a population of 85 million, have soared in price, and their local currency salaries are severely devalued. For perspective, at this time in 2019, the lira was trading at roughly 5.6 to the dollar, and that was already making news as it was a dramatic drop in value from the mid-2017 level of 3.5 to the dollar. So that's a pretty crazy, stunning decline over the last 4 years. It went from 3.5 to the dollar all the way to 13. So that's an unfortunate event for the people that hold lira. This article also illustrated an interesting kind of vicious cycle of a vicious pair trade where the currency has plummeted by 15 to 20% and inflation is already at 20%, which is a tough price economic situation. But your salaries are being cut as well by virtue of the fact that the currency you're being paid in is worth so much less in a single day. Turkey's currency has been in a downward slide since early 2018, thanks to a combination of geopolitical tensions with the West, current account deficits, shrinking currency reserves, and mounting debt. Most importantly, a refusal to raise interest rates to cool inflation. Sound familiar? Erdogan has long described interest rates as the enemy, rejecting economic orthodoxy to insist that raising rates actually worsens inflation rather than the other way around. Investors fear the lack of independence of Turkey's central bank, whose monetary policies are seen as being largely controlled by Erdogan. He's fired 3 central bank chiefs in roughly 2 years over policy differences. More like they didn't do what he asked. Semih Tümen, a former central bank deputy governor who Erdogan dismissed in October, sharply criticized the president's moves. We need to abandon this irrational experiment, which has no chance of success, and return to quality policies which will protect the value of the Turkish lira and protect the welfare of the Turkish people. The latest sharp downturn began last Thursday when the central bank cut rates by 100 basis points to 15%. So it's basically they cut it from 16% to 15%. It's cut rates by 400 basis points since September alone. According to ratings agency Fitch, in August, 57% of Turkey's central government debt was foreign currency linked or denominated, meaning paying that debt becomes more painful as the lira continues to drop in value. We are seeing a perverse economic experiment of what happens when a central bank has effectively no monetary policy. Erdogan has taken away the ability of the Central Bank of Turkey to hike policy rates. So what that means is they have 57% of their debt that they're contractually obligated to pay back in that other currency. So if the Turkish lira is declining against all those other currencies, they have to spend more of their own money to convert into those currencies to pay back the loans. It's just a really tough situation, getting worse by the minute over there. And unfortunately, it means that it's probably not going to get better, given the fact that Erdogan has not really come to reality that the way out of inflation typically is you raise interest rates, and he's trying to go the other way. So we're seeing a dramatic decline in the country's value of its currency. What is this causing? There's another article I want to flip over to that really highlighted something important. So in the Financial Mirror, they were also talking about how the currency has plummeted, but here's what's happening. So you may have heard this, that Apple, the supergiant electronics company, suspended sales to the country after the lira's spectacular one-day drop of 15% earlier this week, as in last week. Now, the Turkish lira dropped to a new historic low and worries over a broader economic meltdown driven by interest rate cuts demanded by Erdogan. The severity of the crisis forced many people to buy almost anything that could be used as a store of value, a fundamental property of a currency, including electronics, to shield their wealth from further depreciation. If the Turkish government continues this performance, a barter system will be formed in the local market to facilitate exchange. It will not be hyperbole to expect people to exchange brand new smartphones and other luxury items for groceries and other essentials. So that part right there is actually why I wanted to do this video for you guys, because as we see that countries that have declining currencies, hyperinflation, and it's getting on the precipice of out of control, in my opinion, in Turkey, people are resorting to buying tangible goods. Tangible goods are worth more than cash. And so that means that the belief in their currency, the lira, is rapidly evaporating. And unfortunately, the only way to maintain your wealth is to buy physical things and hold on to them, because people are buying phones, laptops, luxury items like purses, things like that, in hoping that they can sell it in the future and keep their money in essence, or maybe even make some. But the idea that the physical thing sitting there isn't devaluing so fast, whereas if you held your cash, it's going straight down to the ground. So this is a really concerning situation, that a barter economy is what the next phase for Turkey's economy is. And it's going to start probably in the shadows, friends, neighbors, black market, that type of stuff. But a barter economy is kind of a natural consequence of when a currency plummets. And unfortunately, I'm worried about if other countries get in this situation where they have a currency crisis, and also if the U.S. has further issues with the dollar. We're still a strong country at the moment, but we're printing ourselves into oblivion. And the more that we print, the longer we keep interest rates low, our only hope is economic growth. But will our economic growth eclipse the inflation that we're seeing? And right now, it seems like the answer is no. But we're not having as much of a disparity as other countries like Turkey, of course, and we have the fact that the dollar's reserve status, we have that going for us. But other countries like Turkey are going to have currency crises, I think, in the next year in 2022, and it's going to result in barter economies. And that could hit the US. The fact that we have currency troubles ourselves, the more that we do this printing into oblivion, then we're going to have, I think, barter economies pop up, and people will be putting their money into a new asset class. And that class of things will be tangible goods, tangible items, so that they can hold the value of their wealth in that item, but also trade and barter those items to acquire other things that they need that would otherwise be too expensive to buy outright using the currency of the day, given the inflation that's happening. Now, I mentioned earlier that Apple had suspended sales in Turkey. Now, they suspended sales only for a few days, and they came back, but this time with a vengeance, a 25% price hike to reflect the currency crash. And this is one of the dangers of operating in a currency or a country that has a monetary system driving the price of goods up and the value of the currency down. And so that's what's also driving people to think, hey, if we are able to acquire hard physical assets whose price will be reflected in the distortions of the current market, then maybe we can make money that way. We can preserve our wealth that way. If Apple can hike prices 25% overnight to preserve their market parity of the value of the good, then that's where you want your money. You want your money in something that will move like that, because the money sitting by itself will evaporate into thin air. Crazy things happening. What do you guys think? Will the fact that the lira's crash causing Turkey to turn into a barter economy, will that make other countries around Turkey in Europe, Africa, Asia, and maybe even North America, South America, will we be largely heading to a barter economy in any country that is experiencing currency distortions? And in the US, it could happen, maybe not outright 100% if we have a major, there may not be a major crash, but still the value of our currency is being devalued, the fact that we're printing so much and interest rates are low. Inflation is definitely a factor, and it's running. So people may be hoarding physical, tangible goods that are of value so that they can swap those for other things that they need, that again, laying out the cash for in that moment would be way too much normally. So go ahead, smash that like button, drop a comment of what you think is going to happen in the future, and if you do think we're headed to a barter economy, what are the most valuable items that you would like to have in order to make proper exchanges in the future? Consider subscribing, and I appreciate you guys watching.